Hey YouTube, this is Blackhawk Thunder, and welcome back to what I guess is part 2 of my Far Cry 4 review. I didn't have enough time to put this part of the review on here, which will be a review of the arena mode and Shangri-La. SHAREfactory also caused me a lot of problems, so there were a few things that I missed on the Far Cry 4 review, which was kind of just really last moment thing. But in the future, I will have more thought-out reviews. Anyways, so first off, I guess we'll talk about the arena. So the arena mode, as you can see, it's pretty cool. You unlock it fairly early into the game. There's a lady named Nora who runs the arena, and she actually works for Pagan Min, but she was her family was kidnapped or something, and they threatened to kill her family unless she worked for him. So anyways, she set up this arena, and of course this is where all the major action in Kirat happens that people can come and visit. So in the arena mode, this one right here is actually the main mission that first introduces the arena to you. And in this main mode, you can pick up to 4 weapons, or I think maybe just however many weapon slots you have unlocked. But anyways, you're rated on with a score of how many points based on how creative the kill. Like a standard kill is worth 10 XP. A handgun takedown is like 50 or something like that, and you know, death from above might be 50 or 25 or something like that. But anyways, the arena has a few different modes when you just come back to it after this mission. You can do a normal mode, which is basically the same thing as what you see right here. There are also user-generated challenges, I guess you could say, arena challenges. The map, I will point out one flaw that this has, is that this is the only arena you can fight in. I would have liked more variety, but it is a pretty good arena, and from what I played, I still haven't got tired of it. It's pretty fun, to say the least. But you can also play user-generated maps, and they control, or not maps, but arena battles, and they control how many enemies are in there, and what types of enemies and everything, and through the Far Cry 4 companion app. So they have set that up, and you can play them and then compare your scores on the leaderboards and all that stuff. So anyways, this and the other mode is the weapon challenges, and you can only use a specific weapon. I mean, you have access to grenades and knives and all the throwables as well as your knife, but the only actual gun you're able to use is whatever gun it is that you're doing the challenge for. So anyways, but that's pretty fun, and you have to reach at least a certain score to get 5 stars, but in order to even pass the challenge, you have to get at least 3 stars on it. I got, on every single try, I got 5 stars, except for on one, which I redid the next time and got 5 stars. So they're pretty fun, and there's a lot of weapons, so there's a lot of enjoyment in this, and a good goal to reach for. So also the arena, it has 5 rounds, which sometimes does seem a little short, but by round 5, sometimes you'll see some pretty insane things coming out. Like, you got a rhino that usually comes out around round 5. In fact, actually, I think he always comes out, at least on the weapon challenges. And he's pretty tough sometimes, so you might want to let the heavy and the rhino duke it out occasionally, you know, something like that. But, and then, of course, people will throw things in from the stands up there to aid you in battle. I don't know if how well you're doing has any effect on how much stuff they give you or not, but anyways, yeah. So I think that pretty much sums up the arena mode. It's pretty fun. Unfortunately, there's no co-op arena, which would have been nice, but yeah, this is a pretty fun mode. Adds a lot more to the game, and it's pretty addictive for the most part. So definitely a good addition. So now, before we move into Shangri-La, I'm going to talk a little about some of the things that I missed in the actual Far Cry 4 review. So some of the things I forgot to mention is there are Kirati race films as well as like survival films. They're all the same thing. I don't know why they call them survival films. They're pretty misleading, but all it is racing. You go through the checkpoints just like they had some of those in Far Cry 3. But, you know, they really weren't that great. And I kind of totally forgot to mention them, but they're decent. They're not terrible, but they just weren't something that you really looked forward to doing that much. It was really weird, though, because when I first did some of them, I don't know if it was the developers just screwing with people, or there was a glitch in the game, or there was hackers or whatever, but some of like the record times for like something that would the gold medal would be like 50 seconds or something like that, or 52 seconds, but the record time was like something like 6 seconds, and it's absolutely impossible to do it that quickly. I mean, probably the quickest you could do it is maybe like 40 seconds or whatever, or maybe 35, but 6 seconds, it was absolutely ridiculous. So it's like somebody hacked it or something. But anyways, another thing that was cool is, along with the outpost, they have an outpost mastery thing where you can replay the outpost and try to get a high score and compete in leaderboards and just, you know, see how well you can do the outpost. So that's pretty cool. But also in the settings, you can also reset all the outposts to retake them as well. Okay, so now we got Shangri-La here, and yeah, this is actually, the way, from what I heard about it, it was actually made by a different studio, which is pretty cool. So they were able to focus on this more, and this, I will tell you, is a very nice part of the game. There's 5 missions, 5 Shangri-La missions, including the one that is within the campaign, but they are all really fun and really beautiful and really well thought out. And you play as Kalinag, which is, I guess, I don't know, some basically the adventurer, the scout for this native tribe. And as you can see here, there are 3 collectibles within each level that you go and find it, and it's like time's been slowed down and somebody's been shot with arrows or something like that, or an explosion. So that's cool. And also, as you can see there, there's a tiger. So you get a tiger that you can that aids you in battle. And as you can see there, I just pointed at the enemy, and the tiger will go attack the enemy. And later on, there's these flamethrower guys that you'll see, and the only way to take them down is to either shoot them enough till they get down on their knees, and then you can like do a takedown on them, or you have the tiger distract them while he's attacking them from the front. You come around behind and do a takedown on him that way. And the whole objective, as you can see, is to go and ring the bell of enlightenment here. And there's this like eagle dragon thing that comes around and is trying to kill you, but you just get saved at the end. Now this is also cool, is because later on they have this I don't know what you'd really call it, but there's these wind gusts or whatever that you can fly here like Superman. Anyway, so that I thought was that was pretty cool. And anyways, you don't start out with the bow, as you saw me using earlier, but within the first one, after you finish the campaign one, you get the bow, and you can, of course, you know, aim down the sights and slow down time with it, and it's pretty cool. But as you can see right here, I am collecting a bow upgrade. This is the second Shangri-La mission, but this bow upgrade is pretty badass, as you'll be able to see. So yes, it allows you to shoot multiple arrows at once. So this is pretty sick. Anyways, yeah, so Shangri-La, it's got some various enemies. It's got the normal enemies, which you see me fighting a bunch. These dog things, which they'll try to come up to you, and when they get close, they will explode after a couple of seconds. So you want to be wary of those. And of course, as I mentioned before, here's the flamethrower dudes right here. But yeah, Shangri-La, it is definitely a good addition to the game, and I enjoyed it very, very much. And as you can, I don't know if I'm going to do the takedown here. Am I going to do the takedown? No, I'm just going to knife him a bunch, it looks like. But anyways, and the tiger is actually pretty good. It will oftentimes take down your enemies without you even having to help. And also this thing up front that you can see, this orange thing, that is basically a teleportation thing that, in this case, it just takes me to the next part of the map. But there's a couple places where there'll be multiple teleportation things around the same area of the map, and it allows you to teleport from one to another, and sometimes it allows you to get the drop on your enemies. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to talking about some other stuff that I forgot in the main review. So I would like to expand more on the co-op feature. So I didn't mention this, but co-op is only available in the free roam and side missions. Co-op is not playable for the main campaign missions. Those are solely something that you do as a single player experience. Another thing, vehicles. There are some new vehicles in this game that weren't in Far Cry 3 or the other Far Cries. There is a hovercraft, which was pretty cool the first time I used it, but afterwards I realized it wasn't that great. I don't think it's the fastest one, but I'll tell you, one game that definitely has an amazing hovercraft in it is Just Cause 2. But still, Far Cry 4, the hovercraft is kind of fun to use. But that's the only other main addition. I mean, there is a truck with a grenade launcher turret, but I'm pretty sure they might have had that in Far Cry 3. anyways. So I guess we'll talk a little more about the story as well. So you play as AJ Gale. You've come back to spread your mother's ashes in Kyrat at Lakshmana, which I will not spoil what, where or what Lakshmana is. But anyways, you come back there to spread your ashes, and then Pagan Min, wants you to, spread them with him or whatever. But then you take off, and you get tied up in the Golden Path thing, and there's a civil war in Kyrat brewing, and the Golden Path are fighting against the Royal Army and Pagan's dictatorship. So basically you find out that your father was the founder of the Golden Path, and they, Sabal and Amita, they're always like, oh, this is what he would have wanted you to do. So you end up basically becoming the leader of the Golden Path in a sense. So, anyways, you go and fight Pagan Min, and then eventually you can get to the end and decide what happens, which I will not have any other spoilers. But that's just a little bit about the story there. So, for this, what you're seeing right now, cool thing in Shangri-La, this is the third one, I think. Yeah, the third Shangri-La mission outside of the main campaign one. And you rescue this elephant, and after this you are able to ride it. Only for this mission though, unfortunately. And that's another thing I'll mention. A lot of people were really hyped and really excited about being able to ride elephants in Far Cry 4. Me, personally, it was not a big selling factor to me. I mean, it was cool, but it wasn't something that I was super looking forward to do and thought was absolutely amazing. But it is a cool thing. So, anyways, as I said, there's 4 Shangri-La missions. And you'll see the last one after I fight some of these guys off, and I'll talk to you about that a little more in a bit. So let's go back to some other base game stuff. There are, let's just actually, I mean, I've pretty much said all I have to say about the single player. I mean, if I think of anything else, I may mention it in a later video. But that's pretty much all. Well, I will say this. The reason I arrived at my score, my explanation for why I arrived at my score of an 8 out of 10 for Far Cry 4, was basically because it does copy Far Cry 3 a lot, and for me, it wasn't quite the expansion on Far Cry 3 that I was wanting, or just the next leap in the Far Cry franchise that I was looking forward to, and most other people were looking forward to. But also, it did have, I don't know, the villain wasn't quite as interesting, but he was still good. But overall, the story, they did do less of the drug tripping stuff, and there was sometimes a little more explanation for things. So that was definitely nice. But the Yogi and Reggie part, like, it's so funny. Like they have you take the drugs, and you're basically their guinea pig, but you don't once consider saying, well, I don't want to do this. Your character just goes along with it just because what the heck, let's do it. So anyways, but yeah, Far Cry 4 did have a lot of cool stuff that it expanded on from Far Cry 3. But what you're seeing right here also is the Shangri-La integration later on into the main game. That was Kalinag that you just killed, or I just killed, and that is the character that I am playing. You play as in Shangri-La. But anyways, this is the boss in Shangri-La, the Eagle boss. You actually get to fight him in the last mission, and it's a pretty cool boss battle. Anyway, so it definitely is a full, complete package within itself, and holds its own outside of the base game. So it's not just another side activity. It really is its own complete story. Although your character Kalinag does speak in his native tongue, so you do have to read the subtitles to know what's going on. Okay, so last of all, I'll just mention there's also user-generated maps in Far Cry 4 that you can play in the Chronicles mode. And of course, you're only fighting AI and stuff in a few different game modes that they have to provide for you. But you can't actually play them in PvP, which is kind of disappointment because you could in previous Far Cries. But anyways, still a cool feature. I haven't actually tried the multiplayer. I will play that, get to that in a later review, and mention that. So overall, Far Cry 4 is a pretty great game, a solid 8 out of 10, and Shangri-La and the Arena mode are a great addition to the franchise. leave a like and a comment to let me know what you guys thought. And until next time, this is Blackhawk Thunder. Have a good one.